Now, before I start, I wanted to say that this is only in the context of 222 in Celestial and below lobbies. In triple support, Jeff is easily one of the best supports in the game, no doubt about it. Alright, but as I will explain in this video, he's a suboptimal pick in 222 for the majority of the time in most ranks. Okay? So I don't want to hear anybody tripping in the comments like, oh, when you run three supports and you flank with Jeff, he's so good. Yeah, I know that. This video is not about that. This is specifically for 222 and Celestial and below. Not pro play, not top 500. That's a completely different realm. None of you watching this video are in those parts of the game. So I don't want to hear anything about those parts of the game in my comment section. Please. Now, the first thing you have to discuss when talking about Jeff is his utility, specifically when compared to the five main supports: Luna Snow, Invisible Woman, Cloak and Dagger, Rocket, and Loki. If you're wondering what makes a good main support, it takes good general sustain and a purely defensive ultimate. Jeff only has one of these, and I'll get into his ult later. Apart from his speed boost and aqua bursts, Jeff has literally zero non-healing utility. Now, a lot of people will mention that his primary can heal and damage at the same time, and while it does sound good on paper, it is trivially easy to avoid, and even if you are getting hit by it, it's literally support alt feeding, tickling damage, especially because it has fall off. When you look at what the other supports have in terms of the utility for their teams, it's clear that Jeff cannot hang with them. Now, of course, there's another one of Jeff's main strengths, which is his survivability. He can survive on his own incredibly well against dive, which honestly I have to say makes him a very good pick in lower ranks where, team coordination and peeling are both very rare. However, this strength falls off as you climb because more people will peel for the back line and, more people will, protect you. Alright? It only becomes more useful in Eternity, Top 500, professional play because dive comms and their dive team comms, they become incredibly coordinated and precise, and you need to actually be slippery yourself. Peeling won't work alone. You need to actually be slippery yourself to survive. That's the only situation where having him in 222 would actually be a benefit. Only there though. Jeff's ult is mid, plain and simple. It used to be even worse, but thanks to the recent buff it got, it has become much better. However, it is still mid compared to other support ults. Jeff ult tries to be way too many things at once while genuinely failing at most. Offensively speaking, it's pretty rough. Most characters can consistently avoid being swallowed and or being thrown off the map. Most of the time above like Plat, Jeffs will only get like one or two people with each ult and instantly die after swallowing. Even if he does manage to survive, he's doing nothing but carrying them around for the full duration of the ult, and unless he's managed to grab another support, which is rare to do and also survive at the same time because teams will nuke you if you try to eat their back line, and it's harder for Jeff's team to come in and try to save him, if he's that far away. Alright, so if he's losing tons of value by doing whatever with his ultimate and not healing. Now, a lot of people will say that with all this counterplay, alright, you have to use the ult, quote, strategically in order to not die immediately. But when 2/3 of any given team have ways of consistently avoiding and or punishing your ult, it's not a good ult. Alright, we don't go and say that Scarlet Witch ult is the best ult in the game because of its counters, right? Alright, because even though it has the potential to team wipe, alright, we don't call it the best ult because of how easy it is to avoid and counter. The same goes for Jeff. Now you might say the ult does heal swallow teammates and that the healing pool exists, but they're both not very good. While in Jeff's stomach, you can't do anything. You can't make plays or finish plays, you can't contest the point, you can't counter the enemy team, you can't save somebody else who's not in Jeff's stomach, can't do anything. Alright? And the healing pool, it's nice, but it's small and it heals less than its primary. It leaves your team incredibly vulnerable to AoE damage, and it can't protect your team from any opposing DPS ultimates or even some tank ultimates. Alright? Now you may mention, right, that his ult is very good to combo with or counter ults like Groot, Strange, and Angela because they'll stun everybody in a small area together, and it makes it very easy to swallow the enemy or swallow your team to kill or save them. However, we have DPS to combo with our tanks, and we have other supports who can either cancel these ults outright or can use their own ults to save the team. All right. So basically, we have two uses that, while I guess it's versatile, they're not very strong. They're not very strong uses of it. And I mean, why would you have Jeff Alt trying to be two things when you could just have a DPS and another support that can do both of those things far better? Another glaring offensive weakness of the ultimate is that it's map dependent. Right? On some maps, it's just completely useless. Like, you do nothing with the ultimate. Overall, his ult is genuinely suboptimal both offensively and defensively. Alright, any area where it does shine even a little can be covered by somebody else with both the normal and ultimate abilities. Sometimes even better, like I said. So, after all of this, you may be wondering, why is Jeff playing so much and how is his win rate so high? Well, he's played because he's incredibly easy. On paper, his kit is very simple and it's very easy to use. Alright? And another big reason is his very cute shark appearance. I know for a fact if Jeff was some generic random Marvel male character, he would not get played this much. I know for a fact he would not get played this much. Another reason for why his pick rate is so big and large is the sheep mentality. People will watch streamers like Necros, Flats, Bolger place Jeff at high tiers without realizing that it's only for triple support. The context of those placements are for triple support. Or they watch professionals use them in tourneys and stuff, or they watch them get banned in tourneys, and they think that they can somehow replicate what they do in those games. When no, you can't. And to explain his win rate, it's very simple. It can be explained by multiple factors. All right, you got triple support. Obviously, it's very common. A lot of the time, you find people running 3 supports. Or though you'll have matches where Jeff is playing into an off support like Mantis, Adam Warlock, Ultron, or even Jeff himself. So, it's more of an even matchup then. But most of the time, if he's running against two of the 5 main supports, like I mentioned at the beginning, he's probably going to lose. Your team is going to be at a big disadvantage unless the enemy team is just really bad. And of course, talking about bad enemy teams, we have carry jobs and skill gaps. If your team is just a lot better than the enemy team, then any backline is going to work. Like, you're going to be able to run basically whatever you want to, and it's going to work, right? But when the matches become more even, it's an equal skill difference between the teams. Playing optimal characters is important. It's necessary. All these factors and possibly even more artificially increases win rate, and it's done to look purely at the stats and determine a character's viability without considering the context and the reasons behind them. Now, you can play whatever you want. I don't really care, but just stop spreading this propaganda that Jeff is some godly support, that he's the best support in the game, because I'm hearing a dangerous amount of people say that he's overpowered and that he's so strong, he's the best support, and that even that he's meta. That is ridiculous. No. Jeff relies on having 2 main supports to be an optimal pick, to be a good contributing member of the team. All right? He's mid tier when he's played in 2-2-2. His ult holds him back. His sustain is nice, but he has no saving utility like a Cloak Fade or a Luna Freeze or a Loki Rune. So he just heals. That's all he does really in neutral. And he does it well. Yeah, he does it well. But I mean, outside of that, he doesn't really do much apart from just tickle the tanks with his primary. And as a last note, please switch. If you're playing Jeff and it's obviously not working, and your team is getting wiped constantly by enemy ults, just switch. Please switch to whatever is not taken, so you can save your team. All right. Stop selling other people's elo. Stop selling your own elo, and most importantly, stop selling my elo with a Jeff pick. Oh, and if you're wondering, yes, I did win this Nightmare 4 run, and I kind of carried my team.